Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marie, and this is the continuing story of my IVF and fertility issues. So the last couple videos I've talked about my history and the miscarriages and trying to start the IVF process and that not going so well. So this year, my husband and I talked about it and we're like, okay, we are focusing on doing IVF. We're gonna do it. We're not gonna do the other pre-IVF steps that are available. And I wrote down in the last video too. These are the things that we had to do this year. We did a lot of them again in 2018, but because that was 2 years ago, they wanted us to do these steps again because your levels change. So we did blood tests, thyroid, this one that tells if you're lactating or not, hepatitis, rubella. This time I was finally immune to rubella because I had gotten that vaccine when I was younger, and a few years ago they tested me and they're like, you could get rubella while you're pregnant and that can cause birth defects. And I was like, what? And I had all the vaccines as a kid, but sometimes they do wear off. And actually something that I think it might be kind of something that was just kind of passed down through my family, because my great-grandmother, whom I'm named after, she had several siblings. She was born in Austria, and before they came to the US, there was her and two siblings, one older and one younger. And then she had a bunch more siblings born in the US, but there was just three of them left from all the siblings she had who were older than her, born in the 1800s. Five of them died in one day because of rubella. They all got it and they all died. So I think it's something that my family's just not very immune to. And even though I got the vaccine for it, my body's like, we're going to let you get it again. And so I was just like, okay, I will definitely get that vaccine. I know some people think it causes all these problems and stuff, but if you go to the CDC website, listen to them, not your local celebrity or whoever, Facebook person or, movie star. They're not doctors. Go to the CDC website and read about it. There's something that caused an issue that was in a certain type of vaccine, but they don't do those anymore, and they've changed the vaccine so it doesn't cause those problems. But yeah, CDC website, very informative. So they also did the thing, I can't pronounce something gram. I'm going to put that at the bottom here. And one of the tests that they did was prolactin, and that one, it's a hormone that your body uses to produce milk. My level was actually pretty high, and my body, even though I'm not producing milk, thinks that I should be producing it. So they gave me some medication to take to lower that, because I think after I had the first miscarriage, like my chest did swell, and I think my body just didn't realize that I don't have a kid, because then I got pregnant twice that year later, and even though those were kind of more regular type of miscarriages where I was only a few weeks along, my body kind of just was like, you're still pregnant, and I'm not. So they gave me a thing for that. And then my thyroid wasn't high according to my regular doctor. Like, the IVF doctor was like, your thyroid is a little high. We want you to take a medication for that for a few weeks to lower it. And I did go and see my regular doctor after getting all of these tests to discuss things with her, just to make sure when they were like, oh, this is kind of high. I just wanted to make sure that even though they're doing something about it, that she's aware of it as well, because your thyroid can keep you chubby, and it's something that I was like, well, maybe this is why I'm having a hard time losing weight, because I last year was going to the gym often, but like on a regular basis, but I wasn't really losing any weight. And then this year, because of Corona and everything, I can't go right now. And they also told me, they were like, we want you to walk. Don't go and do any crazy exercises. You can walk or swim. Those are healthy, and they're not going to overexert you. So that's what I've been doing, is just walking. Sorry, my nose is itchy. So I did all of those. And then the one where I did explain in the last video, the histo something gram that I can't pronounce, sorry. They did that one again. And this time it wasn't something that was too concerning, but at the end of my right fallopian tube, he said there are these kind of little like bumps that go up, and that can catch the egg when it's trying to come out. And that didn't show up the first time that they had done that. But it's something that it's a couple years ago, so your body evolves. And he's like, that might be why you didn't get pregnant at all in 2019. Part of that was because I wasn't home much in 2019. I still was, tracking my period and everything and ovulating. So when I was home, we did try, but I have the cyst on my left ovary and then those little bumpy things at the end of my fallopian tube on my right side that could make it harder to get pregnant. And then with my age, I'm now 41, it's even harder. So we discussed that with him, and we were like, okay, we just want to do IVF now. We don't want to do the second step where it's you inject yourself with hormones to help you ovulate extra eggs. We're like, we want to skip to the getting a healthy egg option. We have a gay couple who we're good friends with in California, and they moved to North Carolina. They had mentioned in California that they wanted to have a baby. And so they were like, we have the money to do the IVF. We're going to do that. So they started that process. And they came and they were like, yeah, we're having a baby. Their surrogate was pregnant. So we're like, oh, really? That's so great. And they were telling us about it. And the doctor told us basically the same thing they had told us of like how the process goes. So in the past, they would just take a bunch of eggs, fertilize them, and then put them back. But with science progressing and everything, what they do now is they take as many eggs as they can get, they fertilize them, and then they let them grow into little zygotes for a couple days. Then from there, they do some genetic testing, and they make sure that there's no birth defects like, your baby's going to have all its arms and legs, and they can tell all of that stuff. Sometimes I think that birth defects might still slip through, but they test it to make sure it's not going to have any major issues. And that part can be kind of controversial, but we're not determining what we're not like, oh, well, we want a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. Neither my husband and I are blonde hair. So that would be kind of weird. But I'm not saying, oh, I want my baby to be, 8 feet tall and have, all of these crazy things. We're not trying to have a designer child, but we want to make sure that we have a healthy embryo so that we can actually have a child. Because with the second 2 miscarriages, it was because there was something wrong with the egg. And I'm now older, so the eggs quality is not going to be as good because I'm getting towards the end of them. And I'm running out of eggs. And I can't go to the grocery store and just pick up some more eggs. And we're really trying to have a biological child before we talked about it. We're probably not going to do like a egg donor thing. If we can't have a biological child, then we're going to do adoption instead. And I also talked to him maybe, having somebody else carry the baby for us, or it's still our child, but, somebody else going through the actual pregnancy part. But the doctor was like, your body is not that bad. It's not like you can't carry a child or anything like that. So it's like, okay, I will continue to try to be the oven. And so the IVF part, let me get back to the details and the technically stuff. So what our friends had told us was basically what the doctor had said, where they'll get all of the eggs, fertilize them, grow them a little bit, and then weed out the ones that won't take when they do insert them. And what our friends did was they ended up with 4 eggs. They had 2 girls and 2 boys. And they wanted to have a boy. And they're like, okay, you have this egg and this egg. And one of them, they said, would have a 75% chance of implantation and growing into a healthy baby. The other one was like 35%. And there was nothing wrong with it. It just, I don't know how they find that percentage out because I'm not a doctor and I didn't go to school for all of that. But they knew that the one egg wasn't the optimal choice. So they put the one in that was the better choice. And they're going to have their baby in a few months. So the doctor was like, that's kind of what we're going to do too. And we don't know how many eggs we're going to have and how many are going to be viable. That's something that my period started on. Today is Monday. It started on Friday last week. And I called them up. My period is a little unusual. I spot for 2 to 3 days before I actually have my full flow. And I called them when I started spotting, and I was like, my period's going to start soon, because they wanted me to call them the day of, but I wasn't sure if it was going to start Friday or Saturday. And so I was like, I will have my period in a day or so, and should I call you when it starts? Can we do the IVF this month, or do we have to wait? And they said, unfortunately, they want me to wait until next month because of the coronavirus. So I'm just like, oh, it's another disappointing month. But we're at the point now where we're ready. There's several medications that you have to take when you do the IVF. And the first one is when you start your period, they want you to take birth control. And it's so that you don't ovulate your egg. And then once your period is over, they give you all of these other medications to take to make your eggs grow so you can have multiple eggs. So when they harvest it, they have as many as possible to choose from. I still don't know how many we're going to get because every woman is different. Some people, like our friends had, I think it was like 100, and they ended up with 4 viable eggs. So we're hoping that we kind of have at least that many as well. And we can have a choice of, do we want a boy or a girl, and then save the viable ones for maybe in a year or two having another kid if we can. If we have enough of them, we were thinking of, if for us, he said we'll have a 65% chance of having a baby with IVF. So if we do have enough, we could put 2 in, and it doesn't mean that we'll have twins, but we'll have a 75% chance of the implantation taking. And if we only have like 3 eggs to choose from, we'll probably just do 1 at a time, because at least 1 pregnancy should take out of the 3. But if we have several, then maybe we could do 2 at a time. He's like, I'm not going to implant 3 in you because there is a chance of having triplets, and it's dangerous. I'm not trying to be octomom. I don't think that a lot of people think about like, oh, I want a baby so bad, and they're like, put 5 eggs in, and they used to do that years ago, but it's not always healthy for the mom to have that many babies growing inside of her. There's mothers that do it. There's tons of kids out there that, like that Kate plus 8 or whatever. She had like, I never saw the show. I kind of vaguely know who she is, but she had like 5 at one time or something crazy like that. It was way so many kids. And there's women who can do that, but with my age and everything, it might not be like the healthiest thing for me. So, we're thinking about not just having a baby, but my health as well. Hey everybody. So originally I had recorded my update on Monday, and I edited the entire thing yesterday, and I was going to upload it today. But this morning the IVF office called and they left a voicemail, and I didn't actually get to talk to the doctor or the nurse. I left my phone downstairs, so I didn't even know that it rang. And I did listen to the voicemail. So they said that starting April 27th, that any woman over 40 who's a patient of theirs already, they're going to start the IVF process for them. So next month will be able to do that. And I'm very excited. I'm so grateful that even with the coronavirus craziness, we are going to be able to do the IVF. But at the same time, I'm like, because I missed it by a week, a whole week. I started my period last week, and I had called them to double check to make sure that we weren't going to do it this month. And now it's like, oh yeah, so if you're going to have your period soon, it's like, did you guys forget I just had it? I'm not going to call them and be a Karen and be like, why didn't you tell me? It's not going to do anything. I don't need to be mean to them. It's not going to help. I'm just going to be like frustrated for a day and then get over it because, I'm an adult and that's life. But I am grateful that I get to do it, and it's going to be happening. And my husband and I are excited because hopefully in a month I will be pregnant. And then we'll have a whole set of videos on what that has been like. The last time that I got, when I had the first miscarriage, I was 20 weeks along. So that was an adventure. And I didn't go into too many details about like the morning sickness. Sorry, I can't speak. The morning sickness and things like that. But the morning sickness lasted well into the 4th month. Like, I think it was a week or two before I actually had the miscarriage that it stopped finally. And it was like, oh, because I literally threw up every single morning. And I would get up in the morning, I would shower, and I'd go brush my teeth. And the second I touched my tongue to clean it, blah, and then I'd have to rebrush my mouth because I had that in. And then my cousin who was living with us at the time, he had just started taking a new medication and it was making him throw up, and he thought it was sympathy pains. Like there's that thing where the husbands will gain weight and like have morning sickness too, and that's what he thought. He didn't realize it was this medication until he was at the doctor, and the doctor was like, so you're throwing up? That's not a good thing. And he's like, well, my cousin's pregnant and she lives with us. And it was so funny. The doctor's like, that's not sympathy. You're not supposed to be getting that. So the doctor adjusted his medication, but I was still throwing up. I could hear him every morning because the bathroom shared a wall and the sinks were right on the opposite side of each other. So if you like open the medicine cabinet mirror, if you pulled the one on the other side out, you could see into the other bathroom. So you could hear everything, and you could hear him in there. And so it was like dueling. So I didn't really go into too many details about that. But, you know, if crazy things like that, I mean, we're alone. So, and my husband did get sick last time. But if anything weird like that happens, I can have a good story to share with you guys this time. I will have more videos, and I do still have a couple serious topics that I am going to make videos about. And I forgot what they call it on YouTube, but there's like kind of folders where I can group them together. So if you're not interested in my DIY things and you're only interested in this, you'll only see these things if you come to my channel. So I hope you guys are all doing okay during coronavirus and you're not like going crazy, and there's something out there entertaining you. Might not be me. That's okay. But hopefully something is keeping you busy and you're doing well. So have a good day, guys. Bye.